Welcome to A Woman's Brew, where women talk about beer. In today's episode, we've carved out some time to see if these autumnal treats can squash the competition. Yep, pumpkin puns. I'm Joanne, and this is Tori.
Hello, hello.
And we're two beer-loving women on a mission to get more people drinking and talking about great beer. Come join us. I think we might actually get our pumpkin episode at pumpkin beer season this year.
I was going to say, what a treat. Not only do you have one pumpkin spice episode this year, you have two. Except one is actually seasonally accurate by the time it goes out. The only problem is like, I'm not going to lie, I feel like I've run out of things to say about pumpkin. I just want to drink the beers.
Well, I went for a look to see what we could find out about pumpkin, and every time I looked something up, I was like, we've already said that. Colours of pumpkin,
yeah, that's
done it. History of pumpkin,
that's what I had.
Done it. History of pumpkin beer, done it.
Yeah, I literally fun facts about pumpkins, jokes about pumpkins,
done them.
Pumpkin-based cocktails, like done it. Like I feel like there's so many things that we've done over the last few years, and I just want to drink the beer.
Yeah.
So like, well now, so to be fair, I do have some. I did find some bits that we could talk about, but it feels like it's more heavily leading on to last week's episode, which was like spoopy themed. So I've got some pumpkin spice things, but the majority is like more Halloween based and more back to the question cauldron.
Like
to finish up some of those answers, because actually some of the stuff that came out of the last question cauldron was I personally really enjoyed it. My favorite being what you'd pick in a haunted house. That makes me chuckle every time. I reshared it today, that episode, laughed all over again. I was like, that was excellent. That was really good. If you don't know what we're talking about, go back and listen to
last week's episode. All right. We have already cracked into the pumpkin beer because
I haven't tasted it yet.
I have. I had a little sip before we were talking.
Cheeky.
I did. It looked too good.
I just smelled it a bunch of times.
This one is a pumpkin ale. It's not a pumpkin spice beer. So we've gone a bit tradish with this one. We've got New Holland Ichabod pumpkin ale. I've not heard of this one before.
I hadn't either. We just basically found it when we were looking for pumpkin beers. We were doing another order, and we're like, oh, can we find pumpkin beers? I think it all started with the beer we're going to have next, and I went, oh, what else do they have?
Yeah, and then we found this one, and we were like,
found that, and we went, oh,
that's one we've not had before or heard of before. So we have pre-poured it. It is a lovely amber colour.
It feels like very orange.
It's like
when I look in the light, it's very orange.
It's what you expect a pumpkin ale to look like, right? Yeah.
It has that very light, like cinnamon,
spiced
touch.
Spice smell.
A little kiss of spice.
Like it's
and aloe, because my hand cream. Like it's a bit of both.
It reminds me of when I first had a pumpkin beer, but not a pumpkin spiced latte beer or a pumpkin spice beer, like a pumpkin beer in the US. This is what they smell like.
Yeah, it reminds me of pumpkin ale for sure. Yeah. Like a no frills, just really well done pumpkin ale. Yeah. And like that is what I think of. And like over here, we've said it a whole bunch of times, but I know there's so many people that are like, oh, pumpkin beers are gross and I don't like this, or pumpkin spice this or whatever. And it tends to be like they've just not had a really good example of a pumpkin beer. Like when you have, it's like when you have like Omnipolo throwing everything in the kitchen sink, and like I love Omnipolo, but like some of those swings are going to be misses when you put too much in it. And I think sometimes like the pumpkin beers can be over here, like someone's going to make a pumpkin beer, but they're going to try to put some type of twist on it, or it just lands potentially too sweet or too spiced, or not the right balance of spices. And I think the US, it's more commonplace where it's not an experimentation. Like Icabod, from everything I could see, Icabod, I believe, is released yearly. So this is New Holland. Did we actually say what it was? New Holland Brewing Company, Icabod. And I feel like that they know what they're doing. Like it's repeatable every year. They're over the test phase. Like they should know how to make.
I mean, mate, this is a printed can. It's not even a label, so
it's true. Yeah, but then I feel like that is so much more common in the US, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Sometimes I want the label and I'm like, oh, and I'm like, they'll use different glue and it rips off and everything's ruined and my life is ruined. Or it's like a can like this. But at least on these, you can kind of take the top off of it, clean it out, and you can use it as like a
plant
into
a
pot.
pumpkin spice candle.
I mean, I may have a carving yams candle that someone made in my cupboard behind me. So this is innovation.
All right, we're trying this. Let's go.
You already tried it. I'm just playing catch up. Oh my God.
It's good.
Ooh, this is beautiful. I really enjoy it.
It's not crazy spiced either. When you like,
no, I feel like it's perfect amount of spice.
Smell, like how spiced the smell was, like it's quite.
I feel it matches, but I felt like the smell wasn't overwhelming. It wasn't like, it was a nice, very noticeable smell, very present, but not aggressive or harsh.
Like, I think there's a nice kind of biscuity element to it. Like it's almost like, you know, it tastes like ale with this nice warming spice.
It absolutely does. Side note though, because this just reminded me, I was at Elusive for the Halloween bash. Great time was had. And Andy brought over some pretzels. He's like, try these. I think you'll like them. They were cinnamon sugar pretzels. And he was like, we just got these in. I thought, we've got various varieties of what they are. And here's the sweet ones we have. Let's see if you like them. I literally was like, this is it's crack. Happy? I bought another bag. I'll go back and get you a bag actually next time. Because I was going to buy you a bag and then I completely I was thrown off because I was like, oh, yeah, I had a good time. And as I was leaving, I was like, shit, I need to get this bag of pretzels. But Rick was like, we got to go sort of thing. So I was like, so I ran back and I grabbed honey mustard and the cinnamon sugar again. And they were like, chef's kiss. They were so good. And I had them with carving yams. Yeah. And it was it was just the perfect accompaniment to a porter, especially like a spiced porter, because it really brought out the cinnamon, but not in a harsh. It brought out the sweetness to balance out some of the bitterness that was in it. It was just really nice. It was just lovely. I really enjoyed it because it had the bitter coffee notes, and then I felt like that cinnamon sugar was just like, oh, chef's kiss. Paul McCartney chef's kiss. It was great. But yeah, sorry, this level of cinnamon got me. This level of spice,
like it's well balanced, I think.
I was about to say, well, I think I just really enjoy when beers are spiced, and then that's what sent me down the path of I had the best cinnamon sugar experience.
Yeah, I enjoy this one. I mean, I feel like the Americans should know what they're doing with a pumpkin ale.
Well, that's it, and I think that's why, a lot of people over here, if they are trying American ones, sometimes it's ones that they've got not on a standard market, so you can't guarantee how it was stored on the way here. I feel like we've talked about all this before on past pumpkin episodes, so I feel like I'm repeating. But for anyone that's the first time listening to our pumpkin episode, hey, we're a women's brew. We like cinnamon, we like pumpkin spice. We're not basic. It's actually very complex. It's very complex if flavor. It were basic, it would be around year round. It's not.
That would make us super happy, and it doesn't. That would make me to just have it when we
it's true. Then we stock up, and it's just it's a whole thing. Yeah. But yeah, it's. I feel like you can't guarantee the quality of what you're getting when you're getting it sent over, and how it's been stored, and all these different things that can impact the taste, as opposed to if you're getting it yourself. And that's why I don't mind buying it and transporting it myself, because I know how I've transported it. I know I've kept it in the fridge. Literally, I have done a situation where when I've packed and I've wrapped stuff in socks or whatever, it goes in the fridge the night before if I'm flying out in the morning, in the socks. In the fridge.
That's dedication.
Because it's at my parents' house. They've got a fridge downstairs, so it's the drinks and the backup fridge freezer situation. So that's pretty much just drinks in there for the most part, and so all of that stuff, it's staying in the fridge until the very last possible moment. So I know how I'm transporting it. But when you don't have visibility of that, there's so many things that can be at play there. And also because UK breweries don't really want to take the gamble and make pumpkin spice beers because they know it's not really pumpkin or pumpkin spice beers, they know that the market here just doesn't call for it the same way. I don't think we have the same autumnal scene as in the US. I don't think that's a mystery. We're very different in those regards. It's getting similar, but like
I don't think it'll ever be exactly the same. Like the whole apple picking and apple cider, like warm apple cider and all of that. I don't. But it's
like you can do that here. It's just it's so much more niche.
Yeah,
it's not. No, you're not like I'm going apple picking and there's a pumpkin patch at the apple picking and the apples aren't the same.
We have pumpkin patches now.
We do. I work with someone that has a pumpkin patch, and I wanted to go up to Derby to go to the pumpkin patch, but I've just done too much stuff that I was like, I physically can't. I want to fit this in, but I physically cannot fit this in. But yeah, we do have pumpkin patches now. But yeah, I think this is very well made, and I think I would definitely buy it again. I enjoy it.
I found some information about growing your own pumpkins, if you want to know about that.
Oh, yes.
So I found a nice article from the Royal Horticultural Society.
I tried to grow my own pumpkins once, failed miserably, so I'm hoping I can learn something. I didn't fail miserably, it flowered, and just like everything else I've tried to grow, it flowers, and then like nothing, I think it has to do with like pollination or something, like it will flower beautifully, and then nothing grows. So maybe I'll learn something now. I was very disappointed.
So we are on the Royal Horticultural Society website, so there's lots of lovely gardening-y things on it. So like its botanical name is Cucurbita pepo, but giant forms are derived from Cucurbita maxima.
I wanted to call it like cucumber peppers, the first one.
They were first cultivated, is what they think. Seeds have been found in Mexican archaeological sites dating back to 5,000 to 7,000 BC. So they've been around for a long time.
I feel like I believe that.
Interestingly, possible problems, powdery mildew. Hops also suffer from powdery mildew, which I thought was interesting. They are low in calories, high in vitamin A and C, minerals, and health-boosting beta-carotene. Of course, carotene is what's also in carrots.
Well, I found out from my manager that that they're really good for dogs, actually. Pumpkins are really good for dogs, and you can give them to them raw. And I didn't know that. I was like, I've never thought to look it up, because she's like, I can't take my dog to the pumpkin patch. We were talking about going to the pumpkin patch. She's like, I can't take my dog because he'll go wild. He'll just eat all the pumpkins. And I was like, what are you talking about? And she's like, he'll just eat the pumpkins. I just give him whole pumpkins and he just goes to town. And I was like, can they have pumpkins? Like, I've never tried, because I think if I put a pumpkin down in front of Phelan, she'd be like, and what do you want me to do with that?
Yeah, what do you want me to do with that?
Like, she would just be like, because she was like, my manager was like, yeah, my dog basically, like, 'cause they can eat the seeds, all of it. And she's like, yeah, no, he'll just go at it like completely raw, like just tear into it, smash it apart. I was like, Phelan would literally look at it and be like, I'm not sure what you want me to do here.
What is
and
this?
If I even chopped it up in pieces, she'd probably be like, I'm not sure that's a food for me. But apparently they are really... She'd be like, we decorate with these. Yes, what would you like me to do with this? Like, I think she'd be absolutely flabbergasted. I kind of want to try. I sort of want to get a pumpkin and be like, here you go, you can have it, as if it's a toy. And she'd be like, what? You what, mate? I don't understand. But apparently it's really good for, like, I then like Googled it. It's like, yeah, it's really good for like their coat, and they can just have it raw. And I was like, wow, that is mind blown. So when you said about it has those vitamins, like, that's what she was saying. She's like, it's got all these like nutrients in it that are actually really, really
good. Also, all parts of the pumpkin are edible. The leaves, the stem, the seeds, all of it. You can eat all of it.
You can roast pumpkin seeds, and then you toast them, and then you can put...
Pumpkin seeds are really good, actually. I used to make my own, because, you know, you can't get good stuff over here. So, here's how you can grow your own. Seeds can be sown outdoors in late May to June, but in colder regions, it's best to start them under cover at 18 to 21 degrees Celsius, which is 65 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit, and plant out in June after hardening off the seedlings. Place plants outside by day and bring in at night for a week before planting. Earlier crops can also be had by sowing indoors from mid-April. When you plant them out, create deep pockets of compost in the soil around a spade and set the plants into the compost. You can also grow pumpkins in growing bags or containers, but they need to be at least 45 centimetres or 18 inches wide. Plant 1 or 2 per growing bag or 1 per container. Small varieties with prolific fruiting can be left to grow and crop, but to get the best results with larger fruiting varieties, only allow 4 or 5 fruits to mature on a plant. After first fruit set, offer a high potassium feed every 10 to 14 days to support swelling growth.
I don't like that.
Well, you want a nice round pumpkin, though.
Yeah, we don't have to call it that. I just don't like it. Needs a rebrand.
I knew you wouldn't like that.
You chuckled as well when you said it, which just made it worse.
Keep fruits off the soil by supporting them with straw, sacking, roof tiles, stone slabs or similar. Allow the fruits to ripen on the plants and harvest before the first frost of autumn. Allow skins to harden in the sun if you plan to store them over winter. So there you go.
Yeah,
that's how
they
you
can
grow
last
them.
a really long time as well. It's blown my mind. As you were talking as well, I just had the most genius idea.
Yes.
Why don't we grow pumpkins next year and make our own pumpkin beer?
I mean, that would be great. I will have to brew it, obviously. Or are you
but I can go there.
Are you going to finally cave in and buy the brewing kit that the
No, oh god, I wish. No, they don't have to do much to sell to me. I'm like, I would absolutely love this. And Rick's like, if you pick up one more hobby, I will actually murder you. Like, I will be planted. He will be like, I'm done. This is enough.
God,
no, but how many hobbies of yours are taking up the entire house?
I mean, I take up most of the house. Like the thing is, you and Rick both have stuff. Gordon doesn't have stuff, so
Rick doesn't really have stuff. I've got
stuff. Yeah, but he does have some things. Gordon has nothing.
It's more because it's shared stuff, I think. Yeah. Where but if it were up to Rick, we wouldn't have it. Like, I cleaned the board game shelf up, and he was like, "What else can we sell?" And I was like, "You will not touch another one. Like, I've already outlined the ones we can sell." And he's like, "But maybe we can sell more." And I was like, "You aren't to touch a single thing on this shelf." And I went, "You haven't paid. Like, none of these were your solo purchases. I'm vetoing it. They're all staying." That is what's happening. That's why we need a pumpkin spice board game. A pumpkin board game. I would love that. Like, simulating growing your own. Yeah, 100%. If you can think it. It's like that rule of if you can think it exists. It's probably the same thing with board games. Yeah. If not, somebody's Kickstartering it. So you could do it. But yeah, okay, you'd have to brew it, but I'd go there. I'd help grow the pumpkins. I'd help make the beer.
Yeah. Well,
just with supervision.
I'll brew the beer. How's that?
I think we should probably both try growing the pumpkins, because I don't have a very good track record of growing pumpkins. But I did. So I did when I tried to grow the pumpkins, and I did make it to growing the stalks and getting the flowers and everything. It, like I said, it flowered, and just nothing ever materialized in the flowers, which was really disheartening. And I don't know if it's because I put too many in a pot, or if it wasn't deep enough, or if I didn't plant it at the right time of year, or whatever. But yeah, I did my best. I tried, and I never made it beyond a certain level. So that's why I've done it multiple times in a row. But I actually had used seeds that I had harvested. So when you carve a pumpkin, if you carve a pumpkin, you can literally take the seeds out. You basically clean them off, completely rinse them off, and then let them lay them all out flat so nothing's on top of each other, and let them fully dry. And then at that point you would either go, okay, I'm going to bake them. I think actually there's potentially you have to lightly bake them, lightly toast them anyways. I can't remember if you lightly toast them to plant them or just to cook them, but you do lay them out completely flat so they can fully dry. And then you can store them in bags, and I might still even have seeds, but they're probably not the ones at the moment to try to use. But yeah, I feel like we'd both have to try to grow them, because my track record is atrocious, and I'm not sure we'd get any. We'd end up having to buy pumpkins.
I need to go get a pumpkin.
Yeah, but you've got loads of wait until after Halloween, and then you can fully gut it.
I got a white one the other day to put on my altar. Looks very nice. I like little ones though.
I don't think you can really get you wouldn't want those seeds because they wouldn't grow as big.
They'd be too small. I need to get like a big pumpkin, then we get the pumpkin seeds like that. Also, the seeds are just tasty.
Yeah, also I feel like it's one of those things that you have to get the right pumpkin for brewing with.
Yeah,
as we discovered in previous episodes, it has to be the right kind of pumpkin. So actually you're better off just using tinned pumpkin.
Yeah,
but it doesn't feel as good like when you don't grow it with your own hands.
Because as well, like I've found with like the bigger pumpkins, they don't taste as nice as like you want like smaller pumpkins because they're a bit sweeter. So maybe that would probably be the same when we're brewing with it.
I can't remember now what the best ones are. There's a particular type that was like the best one for brewing as opposed to cooking. Like I think it was different to what the cooking one was. But yeah, ultimately, when in doubt, just get canned pumpkin. It's consistent. You know what you're gonna get from that.
I just used my last can of pumpkin today.
Buy more. Tis the season.
I probably need to restock. I made pumpkin blondies.
Oh my god, that sounds amazing. Oh, we're gonna see each other at the weekend.
Gordon's gonna have eaten them by then, because it turns out that Gordon likes it. Because I was just like, I don't think you'll like it. Oh no, you will, because it's cake.
I like that you're like, the results are in. Turns out, actually likes it.
I thought I might have blondies until Halloween, and that's not going to happen.
Ruined. Absolutely ruined. You should have made a batch you can freeze them, because like that kind of stuff freezes really well as well. So you could be like freezing it, and when I've got
like 150 grams of pumpkin left, so I might make muffins later in the week.
Nice. I feel like you can never have too many pumpkin.
Yeah, it's true.
Pumpkin tasting deliciousness. I really want to make whoopie pies, like chocolate whoopie pies that have like pumpkin filling, like the pumpkin cream filling. So like the bit, like the spongy bit is chocolate, but then the spongy bit's the normal chocolate, but like a pumpkin spiced cream filling in the middle of them. Yeah. Or you do chocolate pumpkin.
What if the sponges were pumpkin spice and the filling was coffee?
Yeah, that would also be equally amazing. Like I'm not gonna lie on that. I feel like
I don't think I've got the whippy tins here. I think they're at my dad's.
It's pumpkin, and then you can put chocolate chips in it, and then fill it with coffee cream. Yeah, that could be really good. Working out all different combinations.
I don't think I've got the whippy pie tins here. I think they're at my dad's house. Oh, well, you're giving me ideas for baking that I can't do.
There you go. If you're going to decide that you're going to do them, can you get them and then do it in time for Saturday, please? Thank you.
I'm going to my dad's on Friday, but then I won't have time to bake because I'm out with my dad all day. And then I'm seeing you on Saturday.
Jeez.
Sorry.
Need to just bake. Stay up all night baking.
No.
So selfish.
Don't get started down that road.
I know. I tread very carefully on that. Actually, it's not my fault. It's not my fault. It's not my fault.
She's been drinking beer without me, listeners.
Not my fault. It's not. I didn't know it was going to happen. But also the sad part was when I did go to Elusive. So obviously I was like, okay, I was carving yams. That'd be great. This year's release. And I knew it was like more limited, but I was like, normally they have so much left over because everyone just is like, oh, pumpkin. I think it does well initially, and then people just kind of go, oh, I don't want pumpkin. And I'm like, I'll have it year round. And so I'm never in like a massive rush to run out and get it, because it's never, a few weeks after it's released, it's never like completely sold out. And I was like, well, I know I'm going there for Halloween, so that'll be cool. We'll get some cans of it. I get there and they've got they have it on cask and keg. I was like, oh, cool, try one of each, and it's interesting. And then I said something like, oh, I feel like I've got to start with these two, because I know that if I don't start with these two and I don't order these, it's probably going to look like there's no demand for pumpkin spice beers. Haha, just a joke, because normally it's me that's left being like, who's going to have some? I guess I'll have this because there's so many left and I really like it. They were like, yeah, no, it's been sold out for weeks in cans. And I was like, what? They were like, it's really popular. It was sold out like 2 to 3 weeks ago. We were hoping to have some for today.
So only did she drink my bucket list beer without me twice, she also didn't
wasn't
get me
my
a
fault.
carving yams.
Well, I didn't get myself a carving yams. Like, that was the whole point. Was I was like, I don't have to worry. I'll get us both one.
You just said that you had carving yams on keg and cask.
Yeah, but what did you want me to do? Bottle it up?
I mean, no,
it would be awful by the time it got to you.
But you have had it and I haven't.
Don't start about the things that let's not start down this rabbit hole. Let's not start down this rabbit hole. Thank you very much.
And I picked you up a beer.
That was very kind of you.
One of the bits on your list.
That was very kind of you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyways,
Ichabod.
Ichabod is great. I really enjoy it.
Well, here's a question. So obviously it's named after the Headless Horseman, Sleepy Hollow.
Yes.
Did you guys have, this is like a question I just wanted to ask, because it's basically we've talked about Bean to Barstool, we've had people on Bean to Barstool, like they've been mentioned several times across it.
Yep.
So they did a podcast episode called Sleepy Hollow, where it's kind of inspired by this New Holland Ichabod beer, because that is where they got the name for the beer from. And they basically sort of retold on this. It's about 16 minutes long. I've put the link here so that Joe can share it. 16 minutes long, just kind of resharing the story of Sleepy Hollow. Did you guys have the cartoon, the Sleepy Hollow cartoon?
Like the Disney one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's
Did people
how
watch that here?
I think I did, because I think that's how I knew the story before, like, the
live action
Tim Burton film came out. So yeah, I think that's where I knew it from. But also, I like spooky things, so...
Well, yeah, but, like, there's some things that I feel like, I just don't... It dawned on me as I was... Over the years, it's dawned on me about how, like, where I'm from originally, like, I feel like naturally, like, every Halloween, you'd be like, cool, in school, you'd be like, watching Hocus Pocus, taking a trip to Salem, watching Sleep... Like, we would literally, in school, as a Halloween treat, we'd be like, we're watching Disney's Sleepy Hollow. Like, that is just a thing we'd watch in class, like, just completely normal, because obviously people, like, there's other things. No, it's an excuse to not have to do anything but watch a film.
I think I must have seen it and I remember the story. I don't think it was, like, always available at Halloween for us. I think I remember seeing it and remembered the story. It's one of those things that I'm like, oh yeah, I knew that because of something, but I don't feel like everybody knew it. Like, it was just because I'd seen the cartoon and I like spooky things and cool.
I feel like I've got to ask Rick if he's on, because you don't even really see it. I mean, maybe I need to look on Disney Plus to see if they've got it on there. But that was, like, such a iconic Halloween autumnal film to watch. We'd watched it at school, but I only, like, realised
about... I don't think it necessarily was here. Yeah, this is one of those
learning about stuff
US
like
versus UK things.
But it's not even... I don't even know if it's, like, all, like, certain aspects. I don't even know if it's all of the US, because it's stuff like learning about the Salem witch trials. Like, I feel like we learned about that stuff more because we were so close to Salem. But like other parts of the, like, I wonder if other parts of the US, or I've heard that other parts of the US, like, that's just not something that they really learn about. And I don't know if this is part of that as well, of, like, New England is more spooky autumnal, but if you're someplace down south where you don't really have autumn in the same way that we have it in New England, like, do you care about spooky stuff as much? Like, I don't know. Yeah, interesting. Let us know if you're from, let us know where you're from, and if you have watched The Legend of Sleepy Hollow, the cartoon version. I just think of the song, the Ichabod Crane song, now that I'm drinking this. I'm not going to sing it because it's, no one needs that in their life.
There's also a character in a game that my brother had on the Super Nintendo that was like a fighting game, like a Street Fighter setup, but one of the characters was I don't think his name was Ichabod Crane. I think it was Ichabod something, like, but it sounded like they made it sound like Crane.
Right.
And it was a pumpkin-headed character.
I feel like that sounds really familiar, and that's winding me up because it feels familiar, and I bet if I saw it, I'd be like...
And I was like, oh, that's that story that I remember. Like, I didn't know it well, but I was just like, oh yeah, that's that. That's that thing.
I now have a craving to go watch the cartoon Sleepy Hollow. Like the live action one, I was like, yes, it's fine. Like it's good. Like it's not bad, but it's definitely more adult. Yeah, but it's more like adult than like and dramatized than like the cartoon's just a really good, easy watch. I feel like that's a staying at home sick from school, turn on Sleepy Hollow type film.
Okay, interesting.
Big recommend. That should be part of your yearly rotation. It hasn't been part of mine, and I don't know why, because I feel like it should be. Hocus Pocus is my yearly rotation every year without fail. And I just I feel like I find something new to laugh about when I watch it. Like there's one, I was watching it the other day, and it's when the two like bullies, Ice and whatever the other guy's name is, and they're like, what should we go do? And like he's like, oh, we should go look into windows and watch girls get undressed or something. And he's like, they're already undressed, it's 3:00. I was just like, I never as a child spotted, like that's so creepy, but as a child I never like, it just made me chuckle because I was like, how is this the first time that I've ever fully noticed that is what they say at that one point in time. It's great. Yearly rotation. What's your spooky Halloween yearly rotation films?
Hocus Pocus, Obs, Nightmare Before Christmas.
Solid. And do you watch it closer to Halloween or Christmas, or do you watch it the whole time?
Halloween. Well, I have to fit it in because Gordon won't watch them because he doesn't like it. I mean, he's. To be fair,
Rick joined me for the end of Hocus Pocus. Like he's kind of like, we've seen it, we're good, and I'm like, and then he came up because I had really good drink, so he was like, all right. Come up and watch the end of it.
I just started Agatha All Along as well, which I'm excited.
Cannot wait to watch that. This is like completely such a tangent from the podcast, but like cannot wait to watch it. That is big up on my watch list.
I was like, it is Halloween week. I am watching Agatha All Along.
I want to watch that, and I want to watch.
Episode. I then had to go back and do like a recap because I couldn't quite remember what happened in WandaVision. So
I'm just I like the cast in it. It looks like it's going to be really good. Very excited for it. But I want to watch that, and I want to watch. Came out last year. It's called The Watcher, and it's based on this like true story about these people that moves into this house, and they get a letter that's like, I've been watching you. I watch this house. I'm the keeper of this house. Basically, I live in the neighborhood, and then it gets increasingly more escalated. Well, I listened to several podcasts about the actual story of it. And I'm like, oh my God. Like, I started off being like, I really want to watch this show because it looks good. Like, it looks like it'll be a good one. People were talking about it. And then I kind of let it go. And then I heard a podcast that was talking all about the details. And I was like, oh my God, this is captivating. I really want to watch this now.
So while we're on things like this, I also just finished reading the book that you recommended for me, People That Eat Darkness. Like, that was heavy.
So I know. I think I either recommended you that or something else that was even heavier. So I was like,
I'm glad it was this one then. It was
so good.
But I think it has told me that I am not necessarily a true crime fan.
Fair.
Because it just makes me really sad.
It is very sad, but also like the story, it was written in such a way that for me, I was like, oh, like it's my type of how I like to read stories, and it was so.
I get it. I think it was really well written, and it was it's absolute madness what happened in that story. But
it's
also,
the story of, for anyone that's listening, it's the story of Lucy Blackman, who was the British girl that went missing in, was it the 90s?
Yeah,
90s in Japan.
2000.
Early 2000,
in Japan.
She'd gone over to Japan, and she was working as a hostess, and it was basically talking, for me it was more interesting about talking about like the whole culture and the whole underbelly there, and like what it's like as an immigrant that was going there at that time. But it's terrifying.
Like when I was reading it, I was reading it and I'm like, this is why Tori found this really interesting, because all the extra information that the writer has put in around.
It's stuff that nobody talks about because you don't talk about that type of part of culture.
Yeah.
And that was what was incredibly interesting, was like nobody's willing to go on camera really and talk about their culture and what that's like and what it was like at that in the early 2000s. And so like that's what I found the most captivating. But that story of Lucy was so sad.
Yeah, it's really sad. But that's also what I didn't like about the story, because I was just like, I just want Lucy's story. Like, I want to know what's happening with that. And like, I really appreciated all this extra kind of background and information that was added in. But I was just like, to me, I was like, well, okay, this tells me that I probably am not that interested in true crime books, because there's going to be all this kind of
so that book, it was
around it, which I totally get and I appreciate. But I was like, I'm gonna go and read my vampire book now.
the thing is it's about her. It's about her, but it's not exclusively about her.
Yeah,
like,
and I was like, I want, like, tell me that story.
The story was basically written about her, but it was kind of to also amplify the voices of all these other women that have gone missing that nobody has cared about. Not that they've not cared about, but they've felt like that culture around it is like, well, they shouldn't have been doing that work.
The Japanese police system and
it's so fucked
society at that time in Japan, and I was like, I get, like, all of this is really useful for setting context for the story, but I just wanted to know the story. I was like, so I don't know if true crime is for me.
For you.
It also just makes me really sad, because, like, you know, when I'm reading a fiction book, those people aren't real. The things that they're doing aren't real. Yeah, someone's had to think it up, which is what I always think about. I'm like, oh, someone had to think that someone came up with this. Like, this was real stuff that people did, and I'm like, that makes it so much worse. When it's bad, like, it makes it so much worse. And I was like, I appreciate that this is well written. These types of books are not for me though. But thank you for recommending it to me, because it was a very interesting book.
Well, it was either that or it was going to be Ghost of the Tsunami, which, like, you would have found even more horribly depressing. So I went with that one because it was slightly, like, less horribly depressing. But either way, they were both very written by the same exact guy who's a journalist, and so they're written in a similar tone, and it was like incredibly well written. Horribly depressing, like just absolutely horribly depressing, because it's talking about all this like lost around the cultural piece of it, and I was like, oh, but I enjoy that. I enjoy true crime, because I read another book that was about the disappearance of all these like women and stuff, and like just so incredibly interesting. But I love true crime.
Not for me. True crime is not for me. I've now gone back to reading my vampire book. Thank you very much.
Well, at least I helped you rule out that true crime is not for you. In the scale of like 1 to 5 out of the books that people recommended you, like, how does it sit in terms of like the worst book that you've had to read? You don't have to say what it is.
And like it got a highest, like, I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. So that's kind of middling for the books.
Okay, I'll take that.
I've been recommended. There was one that I did not finish because I was just like, I cannot get into this. Like, that was not.
I'll take it. I'll take a finisher. I know this has nothing to do with pumpkin spice or pumpkin beers or whatever.
4 out of 5 stars. No, but it's spooky things and kind of appropriate.
I'll take it.
Season.
I'll take 4 out of 5.
I got 4 out of 5 stars. It's taught me that I don't necessarily like that genre, but I appreciated it. It's a really well written book, and if you're into that sort of thing, you know, can recommend that, but it's not for me.
Oh, I was gonna say I can recommend people all kinds of books like that are just great, and podcasts.
But also, I did make sure that I finished it because I'm doing it as part of a book bingo this month, so I need to get that bingo line.
Yeah, but also to be fair, the fact that you finished, I'll take it. The fact that either you finished it and it got a 4 out of 5. Happy with that. Cannot complain.
I like to read widely and try different things every now and then. But
and rule out what you don't like. Do you revisit it to go like, maybe I don't hate true crime, and then you try it and then you go, nope, don't like it?
Yeah, like, and that's like, you know, I do that sometimes. That's totally fair. I think
you like with salt and vinegar crisps. I still don't like them. Hate them.
I think this is the second true crime book that I've read, and the first one I was like, I read this one and I was like, it's really well written, but and I was like, yeah, no, still
not for me.
Into that. Still not into that. That's fine. I'm now reading the second book in the Crowns of Nyaxia series, and the first book ended, and a character that I really loved, by the end of it, I hated. So I'm interested to see how this carries out. Like, I was very, it got half a star knocked off because I was so mad at this character at the end of the first book.
I love how we read such like wildly different things. Like I never like what shocks people is I never finished Harry Potter even as a kid. Like when Harry Potter came out, I think I was the prime age to read Harry Potter.
Yeah.
I think I read the first chapter, maybe like 2, and I was like, hate it. And
I'm
then like
surprised
never
that
read
you
it.
don't like Harry Potter. Like I feel like you're
Never
prime
read it.
Harry Potter.
Nope.
Yeah,
literally hate it.
No,
not for me. Just absolutely not. I didn't like how it was written. I didn't
no longer condone J.K. Rowling and her thoughts on people, which is, you know.
Yeah. That aside,
they ain't hurting you. They ain't hurting you. So be quiet.
That aside,
but yeah, not giving that woman money anymore. But I do enjoy Harry Potter.
I just there was never for me.
I'm now reading Hermione fan fiction.
This is why I say we're so wildly different. Like, I feel like I tried to read some of those books, like fantasy, but it took me a while to even like read fantasy books. And then like I read some of the Game of Thrones and like that was all right. But then because I was watching the show, I was like, why am I reading this? Because it's nearly like some of it was so identical. I was like, this isn't even fun reading.
But that also, Game of Thrones is like high fantasy as well. Like there's like 12 million characters.
Yeah, but in my brain, I don't care. Like I just go, I give you this name. And this is the name you have now in my head when I read it. Yeah. I really enjoy the Game of Thrones books. I'm annoyed that he hasn't finished them. Like, dude, stop writing all these extra books and just finish the damn series. I read most of them. I did read most of them, but it was like a case of I was just like, yeah, I'm not really into fantasy. But then like you're reading that, like I can't even say the name of the book that you're reading, and I'm reading something that's about like it's written by a porn star talking about like in the Japanese porn industry, and she's talking about like all these tips and tricks and like behind the scenes, and I find it so fascinating. Like I can't repeat half of it on here, the stuff that I've learned, but it was like, and I was reading it when I was getting my hair done, but I had to like sort of like cover the like I had to read it where it was like folded in half, and I'm just like flipping back and forth because I was like, it's in a mirror, anyone can see what I'm
I was sat reading one of my books at work like on my phone at work at lunch the other week, and I was just like, oh, I hope no one comes and stands behind me. Looks at what I'm reading right now.
I definitely do that when I'm sat on the train next. I'm like, what are you reading? And I'm trying to like work it out.
People would be surprised by the things that are on some of my devices.
I think people would be very surprised at what the smut you read.
Yeah.
Anyways, pumpkin spice beers. I feel like we're nearly like we're more than like halfway through. We've got 2 more beers to go for, and we've just spent so long talking about books.
This is a woman's read.
A woman's read, yeah, a woman's view on books.
True
crime, not for Joe.
True crime is not for me. It's not for me. Give me my vampires. Thank you. Right, our second beer. Literally what made us buy these beers in the first place. Sugar and Spice Maple Pecan Pumpkin Pie from Vault City.
It smells beautiful.
It smells amazing.
And I validated by the fact that I don't think we were proper recording at that point, but I just, as we stopped, we poured it, we took a photo, and I was like, I'm going to go bring Rick a bit because he wanted to try some of these, and it's a weeknight, so he won't have that many. So I was like, go bring it to him. And as I sat down, before we started re-recording, I got a message pop up on the bottom of my screen from WhatsApp that says, this tastes amazing, with the okay signs from Rick. And I was like, right, it smells beautiful.
It smells like buttery pastry.
It does. It just smells like spice pie. Like I feel like the pecan aspect of it. Yeah.
It's an interesting colour. Like it is orange.
It is orange and incredibly hazy. Like you cannot see through that at all. It looks like juice. It
smells amazing.
If I saw that in a glass, I would think somebody, if you were at breakfast, maybe not orange juice, but I would think at least like a mimosa or something. Because I feel like if you were sat at breakfast with that, I wouldn't be like, that's a beer. I wouldn't have thought twice about it.
Yeah.
It smells so sweet. And like, I feel like you really get that like homemade whipped cream.
Yeah.
Of like when you get cream and you put a little bit of sugar in it and then you beat the hell out of it. Like that is what homemade whipped cream.
It smells so good. Right. Cheers.
Right. Cheers. Oh, I'm so excited for this.
That's delicious.
It's such a... I thought it was going to taste more, not aggressive, that's not the word I want to use. I thought, based on the smell, that it was going to be like too sweet.
Yeah.
But it's not.
It's not.
It's quite well balanced.
I'm enjoying that Vault City have now got this sour scale on the side of their cans.
Yeah, I don't know if they've got it on all of them or if it's like...
They reckon that this is a 2 out of 5.
I mean, I'd say maybe like 1.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think it's that tart. Maybe I've just like fucked up my tart sensor.
I'll be interested to see what Vault City thinks of 5.
I feel like I'd agree with it being a 2.
I think there's a nice acidity in there that's stopping it from being crazy sweet.
Agree.
There is, yeah.
It's the right balance of cinnamon.
Really good spice level. Like there's nuttiness from the pecan. Like when you have pecan pie, there's like that butteriness to it. And
that's the syrup.
It's
like
so
all
good.
The unhealthy syrup.
And sometimes when something says it's maple, the maple can be really overpowering. Whereas I think this just kind of lifts it. Like it's not crazy maple. I think all the flavours are really well balanced. It's lovely.
They're all very well balanced. And I think you also get that, like, as part of it, you do get that savoury, buttery tart element to it.
Yeah.
Of the crust. And I think that's what's like added that extra layer to it. And like I said, the cinnamon's so pronounced and it's very there, but it's in perfect harmony with all the other flavours. And I feel like it's a way that this could have been too sweet, too unbalanced, too just like not the right way. Like I've had other beers from Vault City where it's not their fault because it's tasting exactly as it says on the tin. But like, for example, their Oreo one, that was like Oreo something else, blueberry Oreo pancakes or something, whatever it was. And I was like, it's exactly as it says on the tin, but it's too much for me and my taste buds. Where I was like, I get the Oreo, I get the pancake, I get the fruity compote. To me, I was like, these flavors in my brain was just like, nah, I don't like these flavors together. And I feel like these are all flavors that should go together, but there's so many sweet things that would have the ability to go too much.
Yeah. I don't think it has.
No, it's really well. It's really nice.
How do you feel about it being maple pecan pumpkin pie?
Doesn't bother me. I think the maple's what throws me off.
Yeah, but do you feel like it is pumpkin pie?
I think that I think it's probably more, for me, it lands more on the pumpkin pie with a hint of pecan than pecan pumpkin pie.
Really? Because I didn't think I was getting a lot of pumpkin out of it.
I think it's just because, like, it's the cinnamon for me. Like, it is the pumpkin pie spice.
I feel like you're more of an expert on these flavours than I am.
It's like, you don't, like, pumpkin isn't really, like,
I can't say I've ever had a pecan pumpkin pie. I've had pecan pie. I've had pumpkin pie. I've never had the two together.
I've had chocolate pecan pie, chocolate pumpkin pie, chocolate. I've never had, like, the maple is, I think, what's throwing me off. And that maybe is kind of what's, like, swaying some flavours here and making it more interesting than just a straight pecan pumpkin. I feel like to have a pecan pumpkin pie would be really interesting because obviously they're very, how you make them, I've made both, and how you make them is also like for pecan pie, like how it has to be cooked and stuff. The densities, like I don't think you could have.
Can you tell us about those differences for people that don't know?
Oh, I'm trying to remember now. So like with a pumpkin pie, it is pretty much like you've just got this mixture that goes in the middle of a pie, and like that's all right. But like,
and you cook it in its sets, right?
You cook it in its sets.
It's still quite soft,
moussey.
Into it.
It's more like moussey, and then like a pecan pie, you have what is more liquidy, and then when you bake it, it sets and it gets really quite firm, like almost more like not a cookie, but more like a soft cookie type.
Yeah.
Is what it looks like.
It's more
not
solid
moussey,
than a
more
pie, right?
solid. Yeah. And it will start kind of like cracking if you don't cook it right, or the ingredient levels are off or something. Like it can just be, you don't want it to be too liquidy in the inside, so you need it to bake without burning and get solid without burning. And it is if you've never made one before, it can be like if your oven temperatures aren't right, or you like it's not functioning properly, like so stressful because you're like, I don't think it's done yet, and you're like, but it's burning. It's making me so angry.
Been there, done that.
Yeah, but I personally think, can we have another sip?
I mean, I think it's delicious.
I mean, like, it's difficult because I don't think it tastes 100% like either one.
Yeah.
But I think that's why I lean more towards the pumpkin, because of the pumpkin spices that are there, like the cinnamon and all that. I feel like that's what sways me towards more. It's pumpkin pie versus like but there is that nuttiness in it. So I think it just has elements from all those. The maple, again, not sure where the maple comes in other than the flavouring, but I can get all the aspects of it really well, and I enjoy it. And that pie crust, because I love pie. Like, I am a person that I could literally just eat pie crust. Like paler pie crust. Like, I don't like it when it's too cooked, but it's like, that's my favourite part of a pie, is the pie crust. I just love it. That like flaky, like that doughy, flaky, just, I don't know how to describe it. Savoury, but sweet. It's just perfect. How do you feel about pie crust? Are you a pie crust fan?
I tend to prefer the filling to the pie crust, personally.
I like it.
I am a bit of a like, I don't. I'm not like like a sweet pie person.
Me either. I think apple's my only exception that I'll do an apple pie, because like, to me it's like apple crumble.
Yeah, I'm more of a savoury pie person, but then also I'm a just put a lid on it pie person. Like,
I'm a sweet pie person, but not fruit.
Okay. Because, I mean, I feel like you have, like, in America, you have more pies that aren't, like, lidded pies. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like it's got a, like, we'd probably call them tarts over here, because they're, like, a pastry case with something in it without a lid on it. I'd call that more of a tart. Like, we have gypsy tarts and lemon tarts and things.
I would argue the crust is different. I would argue the crust is different than the tarts, and it's bigger.
Okay, like it's thicker.
So yeah, so it's physically taller. I feel like a tarts tend to be like shorter.
I mean, it depends
on the sides. Yeah, that's true. And it's more like all butter, like crust, as opposed to, I feel like, I don't know, some of the tarts I've had, maybe just because the ones I've had have been like shorter crusts, that it just doesn't taste the same, in my opinion. I don't really know how to put it into words. Like, tart to me is just, I don't know, different. And then those tend to be like more fruit filled, whereas there's so many pies in the US that are like just not fruit pies.
I did have a peanut butter pie once, and that was really nice.
Mississippi mud pie.
Never seen that before. I was like,
even some of the fruit pies aren't really fruit pie. It's like, lemon meringue, and it's like, but it's not really meringue. Like, it's more like pudding in the middle, like pudding pie. I don't know. I can't even think of other things now, because I feel like I'm on the spot. It's just the sugar,
isn't it? Let's be real. It's the sugar levels.
No, that's bullshit. It's the delicious levels. It's the delicious levels.
Sure. This is the same conversation about how blue isn't a flavour.
Blue is absolutely a flavour. Honestly, it's like, I cannot with you people. Rick with his, it's E-numbers. Get out.
Yeah, it's E-numbers. Get out.
E-numbers. It's like I podcast with my husband. I purposely don't podcast with him.
Anyways, I highly recommend this. I think it's a delicious beer.
Very good. I would try it again. But I actually think, like, when we've talked about making like beer cocktails and stuff, like some of the beer cocktails that we were looking at potentially making were ones that I actually feel like this one wouldn't lend itself very well to.
No, it's got too many things going on of itself that I don't know if it would play well with other, like, it doesn't need anything more chucked in it.
No,
it's got enough going on for itself, like it can stand alone.
Agree. I did Google, I asked ChatGPT to come up with, I was like, can you give me a list of the, because I saw some, but I was like, okay, what are the top pumpkin beers that were released in 2024 in the UK? Because I was like, round it up for me, and then I'll go look into it. It gave me a list of 5, which that was a bit sad. I was like, only 5? Okay. And
ChatGPT was being lazy today.
Being
It
lazy.
did the same to me as well.
Not that I was being lazy because I didn't feel like physically going good, but I was like, it's infinite. And then I've got to look up like, where are these beers from? And I just wanted UK breweries. And the ones that it came up with, the 5 it came up with were Abbeydale Pilgrim, repping the shirt.
Yeah.
Pilgrim shirt on today. Abbeydale Pilgrim, Elusive Carving Yams.
Can't get that because it's sold out.
Witchwood Brewery, hold fire on these. Witchwood Brewery, Hobgoblin Pumpkin, Broadtown Brewery, Kin Ale, and Everard's of Leicestershire Pumpkin Pale. So I was like, first of all,
I don't think Witchwood Pumpkin even exists anymore.
That my comments exactly. Because so what I wrote next to it was literally haven't seen this for years. Is this still even a thing? Question mark.
I don't think it is because it told me the same thing, and I was like
big no,
it doesn't exist anymore.
Big no.
They've just gone down to Ruby, IPA, and another one.
They've got like 4. They've got 4, maybe 5, depending on the time of year, and that is not one of them.
Dunkelfester. That used to be so good.
No,
so sad when they stopped doing
just none of those things. So I even looked because I was like, let me just factually check this. Yep, nope.
No.
And then I went
ChatGPT, stop being lazy.
And then I made a note next to Elusive Carving Yam saying released a more limited batch this year, all sold out weeks ago. Sad face. Abbeydale Pilgrim, I was like, I actually haven't seen it announced this year, and they normally do it every year. So I went on the website.
I told you about it because they did.
You told me they were doing it, but I didn't actually see it released.
I didn't see it released.
No. So I went on to go see like, are these cans out? Because like I've not seen any show of them, which they normally it's like this has come out and there's like a box sale, there's whatever. Haven't heard about any of it being released. So I went on the website, it's like, oh, all I could find was a keg of Pilgrim. Not a single can, not a mention of a single can, just literally a keg.
So this year they put out Pilgrim, they put out the stout version, and they were putting a triple out, I think.
Which I would have bought. Didn't ever see it come out. I know we talked about it, like, oh, they're doing this. Never saw it come out. None of it. So that made me sad. But there were a bunch of other ones that sounded really, really interesting that were on there that were like, pre-order this barrel-aged, whatever. I was like, oh, that's interesting. But yeah, could only buy it in a keg. And then the other 2, Broadtown Brewery, Kin Ale. I was like, what is this? Yeah, I hadn't either. And I opened it up and it looks more like trad, but in their collection, they do have a seasonal pumpkin beer.
Mate,
I was.
Did you see that our friend Rachel? Hi, Rachel, has brewed a pumpkin beer.
I didn't actually see that. To be fair, I haven't really been I haven't been socialing very well.
I'm going to pull up what it's called because if anyone's in the area of where it is, they should go try it. Okay, hang on, my Facebook is now going to be out.
Yeah, this.
Not open.
While you're opening that, this brewery, Broadtown Brewery, they have Kin Ale, which is pumpkin spice 4.5% seasonal ale. And they also do Silent Night, which is a Christmas spice ale. I'm like, that sounds nice as well, to be fair. And they do Snuffle Truffle, which is a milk stout. I did look up Everard's of Leicestershire pumpkin pale. Literally couldn't see it. I haven't, but I think they are. They're part of Marston's or something. They've got they're like, you can open up one of our pubs or something. Yeah, not a single pumpkin beer was mentioned on that. So I was like, thanks, ChatGPT. But I left it in because I thought that it was another brilliant way to showcase how you can like use ChatGPT and then put the responses immediately in the bin because not helpful.
So Rachel at Brampton Brewery has brewed Hannah's Haunt 2, the Tall Man in the Tweed, which is a brown sugared pumpkin spiced ruby ale.
That sounds amazing.
And it's been specially brewed for the Rutland in Chesterfield. And I messaged her and was like, how dare you make this? And I can't have it.
And you can't put it in a can.
Yeah. I was like, how dare you? And she was like, I was channeling you and Tori when I brewed it. So
it literally sounds Rachel, amazing.
I know.
Actually,
thanks, Rachel. Love you.
I hadn't seen it. And I feel like I could have done better having not known.
No, now you have to share my.
Why did you have to take that down? Why did you have to take me down with you?
I did. But I asked ChatGPT about if any pumpkin beers had won awards at FOBAB.
You gotta get the FOBAB in.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I was like, we better find out. So I have a list of pumpkin beers that have won medals at FOBAB. Would you like to know which ones?
Oh yes, please. Please share. Don't keep that to yourself.
So, Oaked Val d'Or by Hidden Hand Brewery in Illinois won Best in Show at FOBAB in 2023 in the Wild Beer Brett category, and it was a testament to its complex barrel-aged profile developed over a 15-month aging process in bourbon barrels. Ichabod Thornton by Haymarket Pub and Brewery, also in Illinois, won gold in the fruit beer category at FOBAB in 2023.
I love when you said best in show, because what I picture is they're trotting around this like keg and they're like, oh, look at how like mindful and demure it is. Like, look at how it trots about the stadium. Like, look at how well groomed it is. Like, that's what, when you're like, it won best in show, I picture people being like, oh, what a specimen.
I feel like this is a
lifelong dream to go to FOBAB.
A bucket list for the podcast trip to go to FOBAB.
Bucket list as a human being. And for no other reason other than the fact that I just like going FOBAB.
Right.
It's a fun acronym.
I've got two more. Mendy 2023 by Moore Brewing Company, also in Illinois. Illinois makes
Illinois crushing it. Like,
all of these are from Illinois.
I wonder if there's I can't even remember what we learned about before, but I wonder if Illinois is like a massive like farming pumpkin growing community. I'm going to Google that now, but tell me about it.
So Mendy 2023 from Moore Brewing Company awarded gold in the strong porter and stout category and achieved the runner-up best in show of FOBAB 2023. Being trotted out around the ring.
Being trotted out
again. And then Triple G by Sketchbook Brewing Co., also of Illinois. This Belgian-style triple won gold in the other pale beer category at FOBAB 2023.
I'm here for that. Yeah, I did look it up. Illinois, every year, almost 25 million tons of pumpkins are grown worldwide. Illinois grows the majority in the United States. That will be why they've got all of the pumpkin beers.
At FOBAB.
At FOBAB. They produce around 95% of the country's total pumpkin output.
Wow.
So
there we go. See, we do manage to share some pumpkin facts that we haven't done before.
I feel like we have done that fact before, but I was like, what is it? Is it that state? I don't know. But I got too tied up in the best in show because I was just visualizing someone trotting around their keg and being like, look at how beautiful it is. Look at the way it trots. It's perfect specimen. It wins best in show. And it just made me chuckle.
Brilliant.
I did find an article as well. I mean, this is slightly different in nature, but Halloween and bonfire night beers, because obviously it's not just Halloween pumpkin-y themed we've got going on here, autumnal in general, which also for us over here in the UK is also bonfire night. It's behind a paywall. We can share it, but it is behind a paywall. It's from the Telegraph. And I thought I'd share with you some of their picks. So I think it was the top 4 or 5. So the first one that's on there is Brew York's It's Showtime Red Grape and Raspberry Pastry Sour. So that one is, and this was posted just to like literally days ago. So hopefully by the time it's out, you can still find some of them. But yeah, this one was picked because obviously it has this Beetlejuice theme, with Beetlejuice being back in cinemas. So that was one that was called out. Sounds nice. Like red, you don't often get red grape used and stuff. And I thought, for this time of year, red grape and raspberry sour is a bold flavour combo. So interesting. Elusive Brewing Labyrinth, which was a black pale ale. I have tried that. I did try that at the weekend. Very, very good. Very roasty, very lovely. And I feel like it's probably those coffee roasty bitterness as well as like that hoppiness from the pale ale side that probably is what makes it go really well for bonfire night. Neon Raptors They Live Blue Bubblegum Sour. I think that's the one that pours like a really pretty colour as well.
Vampire Disco's back as well, I think.
Oh, that one was really good when I had that before. Yeah. But like blue bubblegum sour, like, is it going to taste? I always find that, I Iron Brew for me tastes like bubblegum.
Okay.
And I kind of wonder if this will have any remotely like Iron Brewy type taste, but where it's like blue bubblegum. Like, what makes it blue bubblegum? That's what I never can get my head around. What is blue bubblegum?
What, you're all the one that's always saying that blue is a flavour. So
Yeah, but
it's
like
blue flavoured bubblegum.
Oh, okay. Well, there we go. That's just proving that I'm right there.
But you're not, because it's raspberry.
Oh, yeah, it's not though. It's blue. I mean, it would be called raspberry bubblegum. I don't see that being what it's called. So there we go. You've got Carnival Bloody Sour Bake Blood Orange Sour Ale. So it's Carnival Brewery, but Bloody Sour Bake Blood Orange Sour Ale.
That's a mouthful.
I think it's just called Bloody Sour Bake, but it's a blood orange sour ale. But the way they've written this in the title is very confusing.
Don't wrong burgundy it.
Well, I actually read it because there's no punctuation there. It just says Carnival Bloody Sour Bake Blood Orange Sour Ale. And I'm like, okay. Had to read it off the can separately to really work that one out. I love that these have all been given spooky ratings and flavour ratings. So the Brew York flavour rating was a 3 out of 5, but the spooky rating was 4 out of 5.
Oh.
Elusives was a flavour 4 out of 5 and a spooky rating 3 out of 5. And I'm guessing that's because it's not really that spooky. Fair. It's just because it's a dark colour pale ale that it blew minds.
Yeah.
Neon Raptors flavours a 3, but a spooky rating 4.
Oh.
And then the Carnival Bloody Sour Baked Blood Orange Sour Ale, that flavour is 3 and the spooky rating's 3. You've got Pilgrim, so it does mention Pilgrim.
Nice.
I guess so it says Yorkshire Craft Beers has cans of it, so they've got to be out there, just not directly on Abbeydale's website. Flavour of 5 out of 5. Like, yay, Abbeydale.
Well done.
Spooky rating of 4 out of 5. So I feel like that one's great. But the one so far that's got the top rating, Tartarus Beers Witch Gingerbread Double Porter. So that's 5 flavour rating and 5 spooky rating. So
we might have an episode about some Tartarus beers coming up, so
that's exciting.
Make sure you keep listening for that in the future.
So those were all the spooky ones, and then they've gone bonfire night ones. Hackley Brewery Kapow Dry Hop Pale Ale, which is a flavour of 3 and the firecracker rating of 3. So they've changed it now, so it's firecracker rating. Nice. Pastore Ripple Cherry Cinnamon Cherry Ripple Sour. That's a lot of ripples and cherries, but okay. It feels like the way they've done that is like it's like a palindrome. Yeah. Ripple Cherry Cinnamon Cherry Ripple Sour. Flavour of 5, firecracker rating 3. You've got Track and Manchester Hop Project Harvest Ale, which is a fresh hop brown ale, which is a flavour of 4 and a firecracker rating of 5. Ooh. And then that's all of it. They've outlined some events that are happening at different breweries, but I thought that was just a bit of fun just to read out. There's a little description under all of them about it, but thought it did a nice little roundup for me so I didn't have to do it. But also when I was Googling all these pumpkin beers, Three Hills did a black pumpkin pie. Didn't even see that because I've not been good at the socialing.
Do you know what? I think that appeared on Google for me today and I was like, I've not seen that before.
Yeah, wish I'd seen it sooner. First time I'm seeing it. Blowing my mind. Fuming because I was like, if I'd seen it sooner, would have got it.
Should we break out our third beer?
Yeah, and then we can tackle some of these spooky cauldron questions.
So our third one, I think, actually leans into the pumpkin spice latte realm, finally. This is pumpkin Slappuccino.
It says, this pumpkin ale slaps. It does. I'm sure it does.
From Grand Armory Brewing. Deep flavours of espresso and pumpkin spice with a creamy, sweet lactose finish. Brown ale brewed with natural flavours.
I've just realised as well that it's like slapping the thing out of someone's hand. I thought it was slapping the pumpkin, but it's not just slapping the pumpkin. It's like
slapping the coffee out of his hand.
Slapping the pumpkin and the coffee out of his hand, which is really funny. I fucked up in the sense of I didn't realise. For some reason, I thought it was a stout in my mind, and I didn't actually like properly read it. So I've left it out of the fridge for slightly long. But it smells nice. It smells like coffee.
It does smell like coffee. It's got like a kind of chestnutty red colour.
Mine just seems really dark. That it's really hard to make out. Like it's like got the faintest highlights.
Yeah.
But it's still quite. I have to really hold it in front of the light. But it is. very hard to see. It's mostly like brownish colour highlights.
Definitely coffee.
So much coffee. Like I said, even mine being slightly on the warmer side compared with where you want it to be, it's relatively. Cheers.
Cheers.
That's really nice. I wouldn't say it tastes like a pumpkin spice beer. A pumpkin spice coffee, but it tastes like coffee.
It does taste like coffee. It's got a nice bit of sweetness from the lactose, but not huge amounts. Yeah, I don't know if it's like, I guess there is a bit of warming spice in the back, but it's not a lot. I don't know if it's because mine is cold. What are you getting in yours, which is slightly warmer?
Yeah, I do get that. Hold on, let me take another sip. So I've had like 2 sips. Let me take another big one. Yeah, there is a bit of spice like towards the very, very back end.
Yeah.
But it is mainly that roasty and bitter coffee more than anything else. Like
coffee brown ale.
We're talking even like, we're not even talking like, I wouldn't even say like creamy. Like I would say like a splash of milk. Like not even like creamy. I would say it is nice and smooth, but there is this like dryness towards the back end. And I think that's where...
From a dark roast.
That's, yeah, exactly. And I feel like that's kind of also where the spice kind of comes into it. So sometimes I find that like cinnamon can also give that like, if you've got something that's like more of a drying finish to it, that cinnamon really plays into that. So it's kind of hard to tell whether that's like the drying finish on it or is it cinnamon. Like, it's nice though.
Yeah,
I enjoy it. Should we do some cauldron questions?
Let's.
Right, while we finish this. So far, what's your favourite? This isn't the question in the cauldron, but what's your favourite so far out of all of them? What's the order?
Vault City, Ichabod, and then Slappuccino, I think.
Agree. And then Ichabod. It's really difficult though. I like them all for very different
reasons,
things.
Yeah.
It depends on my mood, because there could be a day where actually I'd prefer Slappuccino.
Yeah, I mean, putting Slappuccino at the end is only because I wanted to drink pumpkin and it's more coffee. It's still very nice. All of these have been really great tonight.
They've been very good. Right, let's open our
well done us for picking those.
Well done us. Oh, here's a question. This is a multi-parter, but I'm going to ask you the first part. Have you ever had candy corn? And if so, opinions? Question mark.
I have. It's just sugar.
Agree, but I would also argue it's shit sugar. Like, it's not even nice.
Yeah.
I'm going to go hard on candy corn. I feel like candy corn's the thing that you buy because you go, it's autumn. It looks like autumn. Autumn in a tree.
Don't buy it.
But it feels like it's what you have to buy, but no one ever actually eats it. You buy them because you go, it's that time of year. It's the candy. It's like Easter, and then everyone's like, gotta get the peeps. Not that many people.
Not so much over here though. I don't even know where I'd buy candy corn over here.
I don't know where you'd really buy peeps over here.
I don't think you can buy peeps over here.
No, exactly.
Unless there's a specialist like American.
The place you get candy corn.
Well, yeah.
So same.
Just a regular place.
Yeah, I just think, the part 2 of that is
hard as well, which I don't really like.
Well, no, because it's hard at first, but it quite quickly disintegrates. Yes, I find it's quite buttery. It's like it's almost got this like buttery taste.
Yeah.
And it gets all like, I just feel like it's too much sugar, and it's not an exciting. There's no There's no flavour that it really relates to where you go, oh, this tastes like this. It's like the flavour is candy corn.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure I love it.
Nah.
Would you want a beer that tries to emulate it?
No.
That's the part 2 of the question. I think I'd agree with you. However, if somebody wanted to make me a beer cocktail that emulated the colour stacking.
Oh, yeah, that'd be cool.
I would try that. Yeah. If you called it a candy corn and it didn't taste like candy corn, but it visually looked like one, I'd be in.
Yeah.
Next question. What horror film would you pair with the beer that you're currently drinking? And why?
Oh. Right, so what would I pair with Slappuccino? Nightmare on Elm Street, because it's coffee, so it should keep you awake.
Okay. I don't watch a lot of horror film. Like, not that I don't watch a lot of horror films,
But you know,
but like, I'm really
classic horror.
Yeah,
films,
but I'm
though.
like really specific with like horror films that I watch. Sleepy Hollow, because A, it's in my head now, and B, the guy's got a pumpkin head.
Yeah.
On the can.
And
it slaps. It slaps. Yeah, there we go. I got that. I got that one. Right, next question. This is a very small piece of paper that I wrote this on. Oh, this is very topical, sort of. Again, I was going to say multi-pod, but not really. So, pumpkin pie versus candy apple. Which beer pairing could you recommend for these matchups?
Pumpkin pie. I would probably do something spiced. Like a candy apple on a stick.
Yep.
I don't think I've ever had one.
Ooh, so it's like, just think like toffee apple.
Yeah, I've never had one.
Never had one. Oh my god. No. I don't really know how to describe it. Breaks your teeth.
It's an apple with apple with toffee over it, so
yeah, teeth breaking.
I'd probably go for a properly spiced pumpkin ale for that one. Or again, you want something that's spiced because the sweetness. You want something that's going to add to the sweetness. So something that's like a pumpkin ale, where it's the spices, rather than it being like lots of sweetness or lots of, coffee or something in it. So you kind of get that cinnamon in with that apple and that sweetness. So it's kind of like an apple pie. Is what I would go for.
I think I'd go with a coffee porter for the pumpkin pie.
Mm-hmm.
And then, what would I go? Candy apple. I probably just wouldn't, because I think candy apples are garbage. Yeah, I think they're awful. I feel like they just break teeth. It stresses me out. Yeah, same thing you said. So I'm just going to go same thing you said, because I can't even think of what would I pair with it. Like, I genuinely can't even think of what I would pair with it, because that's how much I just...
Maybe even an apple cider.
A cider. That I was going to say cider, but...
Because then the acidity is going to cut through the sweetness.
I feel like a spiced cider. Like, I would go with a spiced cider. Maybe even a mulled cider. That's what I'm going to go with, that one. Right. These are, like, really quick ones. Like, these aren't even real, like, thinkers. It's like an immediate, I don't know. Oh, this one's stuck. Okay, if you had to name a beer after a classic horror film, what would you call it and why? This one requires thinking and drinking.
Yeah. So I really enjoy a film called The Company of Wolves, which is based on an Angela Carter short story that is also based on Red Riding Hood.
I like that.
It's like, it was from the 80s, and it's got an animatronic werewolf in it. So the special effects haven't aged very well, but the film is still very good.
Respect.
Don't know what. So I'd want a beer called The Company of Wolves. Don't know what kind of beer it would be, though. I feel like it needs to be like a red ale or like a red fruit ale, because you want to lean into that like Red Riding Hood aspect of it, I reckon.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Oh, so I feel like, I was gonna say like, I'm gonna go with like Here's Johnny, and it's gonna be a maple brown ale.
Okay.
obviously shining, and it's like the cover is like that part of it is like his face in the wood, and that's why it's like brown ale and maple from it being like thinking more like Stephen King, like New Hampshire, that type of like maple. But then when you just said red, I was like, oh, maybe name it after like something to do with it, like we all float down here or something, and it could be a very fruity, like fruit puree filled, very
you just
red.
Keep stealing my answers.
Well, no, because I wasn't gonna say that. My answer was very different to yours, and then you said red, and I go, oh well, you could do something that's very, I guess anything that's blood related, isn't it? But yeah, I think I'll go with Here's Johnny, and it will be a maple brown ale, which is not stolen. Thank you. That's an original idea. I've never had a maple brown. All right, let's give another one or two. Let's see. What's the next? Let's end on a good one. We get to a good one. Oh, okay. Actually, this could be a good one to end on. What's one ingredient you'd be genuinely scared to add to a beer, either because of the taste or the brewing process?
I mean, from the brewing process, you don't want to do 100% oat ale, 100% oat-based beer. Go ask Attic about that, because they hated their lives when they decided to do that, because it's really, you just get a horribly stuck mash because of all the protein. So not a 100% oat beer. Ingredient I wouldn't want to put in beer, I wouldn't want to taste in beer. I mean, something like that's just not particularly tasty, like broccoli. Like in the beer.
See, I like broccoli. I'm a broccoli fan. I mean, not in a beer, but like, do I like the taste of broccoli? Yeah. I'd try it because I don't dislike it. I feel like for me, I want to say it's weird, but I'd try it. Like, I even want to say, like, for me, I don't like mushrooms. So for me, putting mushroom in a beer or truffle or whatever, like, that's a step too far. Don't really want to try it. Don't enjoy the taste of mushrooms. But then I feel like there's almost nothing that I'd be too afraid taste-wise, because I've had things with seaweed in it. And I don't like seaweed. I've had things with oysters in it, and I don't like seafood. So it's like really hard. Like, there's nothing that I can imagine. I feel like anything that's weird and wonderful, I am like 100% want to try it, even if it's something that I don't normally like, especially if it's like a particular style that I'm like, yep, super into that. In terms of like what from like a brewing process, I feel like is it cassava that's meant to be like really, really difficult to brew as well? Yeah, that would be a nightmare. Or jelly jam donuts, because I feel like based on
clean it. Thanks.
Based on your feedback, I think any like baked good, I feel like any baked good would just be really, really difficult to brew. So maybe that, because that would be scary because you'd think it would be really good, but it would probably be a nightmare.
I mean, the beer came out all right. It was just a nightmare to clean up.
Yeah. So in terms of, not in terms of the taste, but in terms of like the brewing process, I feel like any baked good, because you're just like, oh, how can something that tastes so good be like, at least with mushrooms, you're like, if that fucks me up, like I expected that because mushrooms are horrible. Cake, you go, you're meant to be, you're meant to love me back, and it just ruins your day.
It's not.
I feel like that's an interesting one to end on. Should I, for the sake of it, should I add the rest of these just to our random?
Put those into the regular jar.
Should we pepper it into, like, when we do a normal question jar, there's just going to be like a spooky question of like...
We're spooky all year round.
We are spooky all year round, but like we're going to get one in the middle of like July that's like, who would you most like to share a beer with? Frankenstein? Casper? Dracula? And we'll be like, oh, obviously it's July, but that's cool. Yeah, I already know your answer. But I want to know the justification as to why.
Or is it, if it's Casper when he was Devon Sawyer, then Casper when he was Devon Sawyer?
We'll have to just wait for that question to come out. So that will have to wait until the summer month. But yeah, there we go. That was our 3 beers. And I think we've already said, I think we pretty much agree. The Vault City was top. It's really difficult. they are all very, very drastically different. I mean, like, even if I literally hold them up, they are all so drastically different in appearance. They're so drastically different in taste that depends on what you're going for.
Yeah. We've probably done this at a time where you might still be able to get these, listeners. So we got these from Left Field Beer if you're interested.
Yeah, I would go get some more of all of these, to be fair. And I feel like if you wanted to make pumpkin beer, pumpkin ale cocktails, like, personally the New Holland, I feel like would be the one that is perfect for that, because it's not so overwhelming and overpowerful with particular flavour. It would work really well for that. If you want something that is more roasty, toasty, beautiful coffee flavours, then the Slappuccino, it does slap. I'll give you that. And then, if you just want something that's like, you don't want to mix it with anything. You like a bit of tartness. Just delicious. You like having a little bit outside the comfort zone. The Vault City is the one, I think.
Yeah. Agree. So, Tori, if people want to...
If you want to come talk to me about that book that I recommended, Joe.
Talk to you about... if you want to get book recommendations from Tori.
On this blessed pumpkin spice episode, if you'd like to come talk to me about true crime books and podcasts and books maybe about Japanese porn stars and that in the sex industry, please feel free. I can give you lots of really good recommendations. Please feel free to reach out to me on Instagram at adventures_in_optimism, or you can email me. Maybe email me your true crime, sex industries, all of that. You can email me your recommendations. Keep it PG at adventuresinoptimism@gmail.com, because I realised saying that's opening the door to a lot of weird things. And I already get DMs on Instagram that go to my spam filtered profile that are already weird, and I'm like, big no, reject. So just keep it normal, within the realms of normal. I like informative. Let's go with that. If you want to reach out to both of us to just be like, how did you talk about books for half of the time you were meant to talk about pumpkin spice beer, and you want to shout at us for that, you can find us both at A Woman's Brew on Instagram, or you can email us your hate mail, love mail, in between mediocre mail at awomansbrewpodcast@gmail.com. Joe, if people want to talk to you about how great of a friend you are because of what you managed to get me and what I did not manage to get you. If we need to big up your ego anymore so that you can't fit out the door, where can people message you?
If you want to tell me how great I am, or if you've got a West Veltrin that you want to give to me because Tori's drunk it and I haven't yet, you can get.
You were meant to be with me the first time. I did that research for us. You made me go with a boy.
I didn't make you. I wasn't very well. If you'd like to talk to me, maybe you'd like to send me a West Veltrin because Tori's drunk it and I haven't, then you can get hold of me on Instagram. I'm Love Beer Learning. I'm also on Facebook and some other places, but you'll definitely find me on Instagram. You can also come to my website, which is lovebeerlearning.co.uk, or you can email me lovebeerlearning@gmail.com. Let's go finish these delightful beers. I'm very excited about finishing this Vault City beer.
I've got this lovely Halloween spoopy colours, dark and orange.
Cheers.